Are you a new project manager feeling overwhelmed by the mountain of responsibilities on your shoulders? Do the fears of failing, making wrong decisions, and leading your team keep you up at night? Listen, I'm going to be honest with you, family. You're not alone. But today, we're diving into the world of project management to tackle these exact fears head on. So, you want to stay tuned as I break down 8 essential tips every new, and I do mean new, project manager should know to transform their fear into a fearless leadership. If you're new to the channel, I go by the name of ED. For all you smart and intelligent folks out there, that just simply means Ed. I have an 8 point framework, and these 8 points, my goal, my mission, my job here today is to unpack today's episode, which is entitled Fears New Project Managers Face. Again, fears new project managers face. Listen, family, do you mind if I share a quick story with you? One of the things when you get in this thing that I love, that I hope you fall in love with, called project management, um, sometimes there's a lot of things that that's in the textbook, and there's a lot of things that are not in the textbook. Well, the fears that you're going to be going up against, or the assumed fears that you may have, I should say, it's not anywhere in the textbook that I'm aware of. Maybe there is, I don't know. But leave a book that you've read about the project management fears. And when I use the word fear, I am talking about fear, meaning that stories that someone has told you, or things that you may have seen that you was like, man, I don't even know how I would handle that. See, the whole thing of it all, family, is really not a fear. If we're going to be honest, if we're going to keep it really just all the way straight and even to the playing field. What I mean by that is, family, is that the fact of it is that these fears can be overcome. These fears can be resolved. These fears that have been identified that we're going to discuss here today, there is, or I should say, I did put some action steps or plans to address them. So let's get into the first one. The first one, point number one, I didn't identity shift from imposter syndrome to belief. Listen, family, I've created a couple videos already on imposter syndrome, and what I've learned over the time of creating those videos, going on this journey myself, is that when you step into this new role, whether you're going from project coordinator to project manager, or if you just, let's say you've been, your manager had seen something in you, was like, hey, won't you apply for this project management role, and I need you to lead these projects, whatever the case scenario is. The point of it all is you need to shift your identity. See, it starts with that. That is the root here. By shifting your identity from where you was to where you need to go, this will help you eliminate the imposter syndrome that you're going to have. I'm telling you, I've ran into a lot of project managers. We all say the same. I've even experienced that, where I had to have an identity shift from who I used to be when I was leading, when I got the opportunity to lead projects. I had to switch my identity. So what you want to do, here's my recommendation. You can do it or not, but this will help you uh, understand how well that you can navigate through this thing called project management. Keep a record of your achievements and positive feedbacks. You're going to need to refer back to this thing that I just recommended to you about this record, because you're going to go through some turbulent times. But those turbulent times were not meant to last. They are a test to see if you can help this team push through. It is a test to see if you have what it takes. Listen, I don't know about you. I've taken a lot of tests in my life. And one thing about a test, it measures something. And so what I'm saying to you, family, you need to understand, when you make this identity shift to becoming what you used to be to what you're going to be, you're going to have to look at yourself and say, hey, I know I used to do things that way. I need to make this identity shift. Point number two, from you need to go from following to leading. What do you mean from following and leading? Listen, making the leap from being a team member to a leader sometimes can be a little disorientating, meaning that you're so used to not having to, you may not have to speak up, or you may not be held at an accountability level like most of your peers. Now you're at a point where you're a leading project Everything falls on your shoulders with regards to the leadership. Everything falls on your shoulders with regards to speaking up if there's an escalation required. So people are going to look to you. Leaders are going to look to you and say, "Hey, where are we at on this project?" And you need to be able to articulate yourself in a way with confidence, self-confidence, and knowing that and also for your team, letting your team know you have their back in a way where it's I have to be really real here with you, family. I said really real. I guess one of the things is that it gets me is that when you watch people transition from being in a place of being a team member to leadership, sometimes you got to work out the kinks. Sometimes you need to go have some slight missteps in order to get the correct stepping and correct movement in your leadership. And plus, at the same time, you're trying to figure out what is your leadership style. Is your leadership style very micromanagement? Is it very aggressive? Is it there's so many different styles out there, but you need to have a style. My style that I would recommend is an influence style. What does that mean? I influence the team, I equip the team, I inspire the team, and then at the same time, I hold the team accountable for what the thing they said they were going to do. Point number three, fear of failure. Mm, mm. Listen, family, I know that your very first project as the project manager, you don't want to fail. Who wants to fail? But you have to understand and recognize that failure is part of the learning and the growth. Have I had failed projects? Everybody in the room raised their hand. Family, I've had failed projects that some of them I'm very proud of that they failed, and some of them I'm not proud of them that they failed. But what I did from that, though, family, is that first of all, that when we were failing, I ensured that I established a culture of transparency. And then from that piece, I also make sure that we found ways to improve within the team, whether maybe we need to get some different subject matter experts on the team to help us get over the goal and to be able to make sure this project has a success. Listen, I would recommend selling both successes and failures because these are really truly opportunities to learn. Some people say you learn more in the things that really didn't go right, aka failures, than you do in your successes. And I'm kind of on the fence with that because at times I do believe I've learned a lot more. But to be honest with you, I love winning. I love the passion of having another shot. Like Kobe was saying, getting another ring. But my point I'm making is, family, is the opportunities that you have to learn from both success and failure is going to take you further. By the way, family, my mentor, my friend, my buddy, my brother, Phil, is hosting next month, May. I put the date in the community post, so check out the community post. We are doing something amazing. I'm going to be a speaker there. I hope you come and check us out. $10 is the cost for some high level elite training that is going to happen. I don't believe you're going to be able to get this anywhere else. So family, I truly hope that you take the time to participate. The link will be in the community post, so check that information out. Point number four, navigating the value of despair. What does that mean? Listen, facing significant setbacks, it may feel like the end of the world. It may feel like you can't believe this is happening. It will make you feel like, why me? Why did this have to happen to me? This is my first time. This is my first couple of projects. Why is this? This is just part of the process, family. I wish I could tell you something different, but your ability to acknowledge the difficulty will encourage your resilience because you're going to have to be a resilient project manager. I don't want you to not become resilient because when you become resilient, now you're like, whatever comes my way, this is a great opportunity for growth for me. Whatever comes my way, I have a chance to get better. So next time I see this, I can correct it faster than what I did before. Point number five, this is one message that I watched a lot of new project managers struggle with, and that's delegating effectively. Listen, when you go from the role of, let's say you were a stakeholder and you were part of the team of doing, now you're transitioning, just like what I talked about leadership. Now you're transitioning from doing to leading, and it involves learning how to delegate. Here's an actionable step for you, family. Identify tasks that can be delegated and match them with team members' strength. One of my favorite things is and I need to get back into this, is my DISC assessment. I've used personality tests before on teams, and they really work really well. Like for me, for my DISC assessment, and I am an authorized trainer, but it is I'm a D and an I, which means dominance and influence. And so I'm one of those people, like, just tell me like how it is, or what my grandma would say, tell me like how it TI is. Just tell it to me straight. I don't need the fluff. I don't need the political. Just tell me straight, and tell me what you need from me and what do you plan on doing. That's how I am. But some people need it handed to them differently. And so what's your different leadership style, what's the different personalities, and here's my caveat: just because you run or you leverage a personality test, that doesn't hold them to what those letters are. It's just kind of giving you some idea how to talk with them and how to work with them. Okay. Point number 6: adapting to change. One of the challenges that you're going to have is you may see project scopes and objectives change rapidly. You may find yourself going through the change management process, and you're like, why are we here? Like, because somebody on the team may have figured out, like, nah, this is not going to work, and write up a amazing case study of what we need to do to pivot in order to ensure that we provide the best value for the customer. So you want to ensure that you develop a flexible project schedule, flexible project plan, and communicate changes effectively. That's one thing. Don't be afraid to communicate change effectively. Long as you are communicating, you're getting it out on email, you're giving it up out, your updates in your hopefully you have a communication plan, you're giving your updates to your stakeholders, your executives, and things of that nature. You just want to be able to ensure that you lead by communicating and having a transparent conversation with people. Point number 7: managing upwards. This was one that, hey, listen, if I'm going to be honest with you, until I had my mentor, which again, family, I'm always going to advise you to get a mentor for this thing called project management. If you decide that, either if you are in project management or you're deciding to get into project management, because I had a conversation with my mentor and I was asking, I was like, man, I'm having to go and sit in the executive meetings and give updates, and they're just drilling me with questions and things of that nature. And I'm like, and this was like my very first time that I had this experience. And I went to my mentor. I said, why is this happening? It was like, because they're trying to understand where the project is at. They want trying to forecast ahead. And it's not something that they're attacking you. What they're first of all trying to do is make sure you understand your stuff. You understand where the project is at. And then number 2, it's about like how it also creates value for your executives if you can articulate yourself in a way that you're able to answer their question. Like, you don't give a long-winded fluff answer, you give a very direct answer to the question that's asked. So being able to navigate up and down the chain of leaders is going to be important. You're going to have different communication style. So some executive that I experienced, they don't want a long dried out response. They want it concise and straight to the point. There's others that want a more detailed response, and so you have to figure that out as you're speaking with people. So you just need to understand, here's an actionable step: regularly update stakeholders on project progress and challenges. That's the biggest key. And the challenges, because see, once you understand your stakeholders priority and communication preference, you have a better chance of leveraging the success of your communication plan and getting support when needed for your actual project. Point number 8: message. Listen, conflict resolution. uh, I don't even know where to start with this one, because I'm smiling because I remember the first time I was in a meeting and I watched two stakeholders go at it. Like, I mean, they were arguing, and I'm sitting there because I'm confused. Like, it's not that serious. I mean, we could have a very professional conversation without it getting to the tense that it was. However, but these is how these two communicated. And right after the meeting, they shook hands like nothing was happening. Say, hey, let's go to lunch. And I'm sitting here like, what? I was like, you just called him every name in the book, and he just called, but we got to a resolution. And so when I'm talking about conflict resolution, family, You have to understand when to jump in and when to pull back. And I can't, I wish I could give you a case study on that, but it's subjective because it's based on the stakeholders. There's sometimes when stakeholders will be going back and forth and you need to cut it off immediately before it gets to a level where it impacts everyone on the team where no one wants to go. But again, you're going to have to gauge that. You're going to have to understand that. You may need to have a side meeting with both of those stakeholders first individually and then together to say, hey, we can't have this disrupting our meeting. But you're going to have to understand there's going to be moments where it will get heated and you might need to let that conversation go. You might need to let these people get whatever is bothering them about the project, whether they're not getting the proper support, whether they're not collaborating, whatever that thing is. You want to make sure that you know when to jump in. And the only way you're going to know is through going through it. This is nothing that anyone can coach you or teach you on. Where they can coach you and teach you is saying how you handle it after after a heated debate or during the heated debate, being able to write down points of what both parties were saying, so you have an understanding, so you can say, well, okay, I see where you were going, but you didn't have to use that type of tone to address your point. So again, family, this point number 8 is huge because you're going to have a lot of conflicts on your project where people either don't want to do something, they're going to be so focused on the problem that they're going to lose distance and visual of what the actual solution is. So I just challenge you, family, when you get in your first meeting and you see a conflict happen, make a decision right there to figure out as you're listening when you should jump in or say, hey, okay, we get what you're saying. Calm down a little bit. There's going to be certain things you'll learn along the way as you grow. All right, here's my bonus. Decision making paralysis. One of the things is that in this role as a project manager, sometimes your pressure to make the right decision can be overwhelming. What I like to do is I adopt a framework of saying, okay, how much data do I have? Okay, I'm about 70, 80%. All right, I'm gonna make the call. I'm gonna make the decision, and then we'll work from there. If the decision goes left, here's the plan. Here's the plan to suit that. If it goes well, all right, then we're good. But having a backup plan just in case that other plan goes left, and sometimes you may not have a backup plan. You may have to deal with the decision you have to make, and then what you need to do if it doesn't go well, to be able to circle back and see how you could have made a better decision. Because again, this position, this role is really trial and error, family. This is where to get the best results, to become very exceptional, and I'm still growing as a project manager, is you have to do the role. When you do the role, you'll have a better context of how to address certain things. And here's one more bonus because I'm feeling great today. Prioritize team health and dynamics. What I mean by that is, family, is the ability to ensure that you are prioritizing your mental well-being. Uh, not don't do what I did, where I'm so addicted to this thing called project management. I'm obsessed because I want to ensure that the team is really truly winning. Is that I may not go take a lunch break or go get up and just walk around a little bit to stretch my legs. I'm there jumping from meeting to meeting or being engaged with stakeholders and finding where they're at. No, get up, walk, walk around. I don't know if you're in an office, your home, wherever you're located at. Just take a moment to walk away and then come back, because you want to be as fresh as you can be continuously as you're going through these different meetings, because they're counting on you to deliver on what the expectation that was set in the project charter, then in the project management plan. Here's my closing remarks. I have 3 of them, as you know. Point number 1, the fear of failure. Listen, like I stated earlier, this is common fear among new project managers, that they recognize that failure can happen. But I want to ensure them, I want to let them know that it's part of the learning and the growth. Point number 2, identity shift from imposter syndrome to belief. And I probably should have said belief in yourself. Don't doubt your abilities. Just don't do that. Let me tell you why. Because when you start doubting your abilities, then you start doubting other things about you. That is going to take you on a spiral. You don't need that. What you need to focus on, family, is saying, hey, whatever happens here, I'm going to have an opportunity to learn, whether it go well or not. I'm still going to have an opportunity to learn. So why not I come in with a lot of confidence, not arrogant, but confidence in saying, I was brought to this role to do a particular, I was brought to this organization to do a particular job, and I'm going to do my best, and even if I can, become exceptional. Point number three, conflict resolution. Like I shared with you before, managing conflicts is one of the aspects of being a project manager. We don't talk about it as heavy as we should, but is a lot of times you will be in meetings that, like I shared with you when I talked about those two stakeholders just really going at each other, and then afterwards they went out for lunch, and you're like, what? So understand when to have emotional responses and when not to have emotional responses, and let these stakeholders handle their business. And then, if it get to a point where it's overbearing, pull them aside, have a meeting with them and talk and see what's really going on. Get to the root. Don't get to the surface layer. Get to the root. And the only way you can do that is find out what they're not telling you. Until next time, this has been your boy D. I truly appreciate you watching today's episode. You know my motto. I'm out.